Yes, you guessed it right. And that's me. The proud little lady has turned into an old woman now. Yet, the experience that she has gained over the years, she's going to present to you in a nutshell. Be ready to embark on the journey. Now, I thought for a long while, I thought communicating was using the right words to the right person at the right time. That was effective communication. But then I realized that was not so. Your tone, your tenor, your tempo, all these really mattered too much more than the words that you really used. And that's not all. We concentrate on talking to the others, communicating effectively to the others. But then, do we ever communicate to ourselves? Yes, of course. A number of times we've been communicating to ourselves. We tell a lot of things to ourselves. But then, are we doing the right thing to ourselves by communicating in the right way to ourselves? That's a question. Though we live in a noisy world, many people struggle with too much silence in their lives. They're either living alone or living with others who are engrossed in their own thing. Of course, that's easy. That's too easy in this digital age. Sure, you can always click on the TV, the radio, or even the latest digital gizmo. But what happens if you're aching for a live person to talk to bounce ideas off, to appreciate your accomplishments, be it big or small? When you're feeling lonely, chances are you're neglecting to give enough attention to a very special person. One who's always there with you, who's always been there with you. Who's that? Why? You, of course. So talk to yourself, not just in your head, but out loud. Now, is talking to yourself a sign of mental illness? People say, yes, of course. If you talk loudly in front of the others, and if you go around ranting about, people think that you're mad. You have schizophrenia because you're hearing voices. That's a mental illness where you hear a lot of voices. That's not your own. Mind you, if you hear voices that are not yours, then you have a problem. But then if you hear your own voice telling you very clearly what you must be doing, you suppose you're doing something wrong, it gives you a warning. That's your voice, and please listen, pay attention to it. Now, is talking to yourself a sign of mental illness? There's an expert who delivers a verdict. Not only is talking to yourself out loudly perfectly normal, it's actually beneficial in a variety of ways, as well as potentially being a sign of high cognitive functioning, according to Paloma Marie Beffa, a PhD and a neuropsychologist and a cognitive psychologist who has researched the phenomenon of self-talk. So, you're not crazy then if you're talking to yourself. You're just smart, and too smart. Now, what else does she say? She says the purpose of talking aloud is to communicate with others. That's what we think. That's what we've been thinking. But that's not so. Given that so many of us talk to ourselves, could it be normal after all? Yes, and it is even healthy. Talking out loud can be an extension of the silent inner talk that is caused when a certain motor command is given involuntarily, because auditory commands are better than the written ones. When we do the loud talking, our performance substantially improves. That's why you see many sports professionals, such as the tennis players, they frequently talk to themselves. They say, come on. This helps them to stay focused. And if they've done something wrong, they shout at themselves, and then so that they can come back with more vigor. So talk out loud, and that can be a sign of high cognitive functioning. What are the benefits of talking to yourself? When we talk to ourselves, we're actually trying to see things more objectively. There are two types of self-talk. One is the instructional self-talk, talking yourself through a task. When you're doing something, you talk to yourself and encourage yourself. The next one is a motivational self-talk. This is telling yourself, I can do this. Even if you feel that you can't, but you tell yourself, you convince yourself that you can really do it. And instead of saying, I can do this, if you can put it in the second person or the third person, saying, you can do this, Jane can do this, Rachi can do this, Shakila can do this, instead of I can do this, definitely that will really work better. Now, motivational self-talk, these are tasks which can be used for tasks based on speed, strength, and power. While the instructional self-talk can be used for tasks that are involved in focus, strategy, and technique. Now, Dr. Julia Harper, an occupational therapist and a life coach, agrees that it's normal for us to talk to ourselves, but stresses that it's important to do it the right way. Self-talk is a normal part of the development of language, she says. It improves our higher order cognitive and metacognitive skills, and it's a fundamental part of self-mastery. So if you want to master yourself, you need to talk to yourself. So please start talking. Now, how can we talk to ourselves, and how can we master the art of talking to ourselves? The first one is being kind to yourself. What you say to yourself, when you say it to yourself, and how you say something to yourself, that has a tremendous impact on your self-esteem, belief, and self-efficacy. That's your strength and overall sense of your worth. Use a self-talk to your advantage. For example, you can cheer yourself before an important event. I did that just before this session. And talk to yourself while completing a task. Okay, I'm doing this. Let me finish it. After this, I will do something else. Talk to yourself. Sometimes there are people who might think that there's something wrong with you if you do that kind of talking. But then talking out loud, my dear students, while studying can actually help speed up the process of learning and cement the understanding of the topic. That's what Dr. Don Won, a neuroscientist who studies about human behavior, says. One is effectively speeding up the learning process by acting as both the inquiring teacher and the challenged student. You will be playing the role of both the inquiring teacher and the challenged student when you talk to yourself and when you do the studying. So, talk to yourself. Now, talking means it's not just a one-way process. You need somebody to listen to, right? So, if you're talking to yourself, you need to listen to what you're saying. So, talking to yourself is a two-part process, the talking and the listening. So, don't forget to listen. Now, what are the types of self-talk that will make you smarter and feel better? There are 4 types of talks that you can give. The first one is a complimentary talk that you can give. We all love to get compliments from another. Sometimes we don't get it and we become disappointed. Now, why wait for somebody else to give you this compliment? Give them to yourself. Say, I'm proud of you. You can say, after you've done a good job, great, good, excellent, you've done a great job. Give yourself that compliment which you so desire from the others. And the second one can be the motivational self-talk. This can be done especially when you're doing boring or difficult tasks. You can even go to the extent of calling yourself a sweetie pie. Hey, sweetie pie, come, let's do it. You've got this time in the morning to tidy up. We are, I think, youngsters. the little ones in you would want to get up late, wake up late in the mornings, and then making up your bed will be a great ordeal for you. But then, you can school yourself and say, yeah, come on. I think you've got this great morning to discipline yourself to start the day with making up your bed. How about it? Can we do it? Start with your motivational talk, motivational self-talk. And then the third one is the outer dialogue. Especially this kind of self-talk can be used, especially when you have trouble in making a decision. Should I stay or should I go? Should I speak up or should I stay silent? Especially we have these questions in the class. Right now you might be having the question, should I stay in this webinar or should I leave because there's too much talking happening? Now, that's up to you. Should I speak or stay silent? Now, should I buy this gift or that? Or the choices are too many and they aren't easy. This is the time to have an interesting dialogue with yourself and say which way the wind is blowing. Talk to yourself. Find out, I would like to do this, but then I also don't like to do this because of these. Talk to yourself. You will find the decision just becoming clearer and clearer for you. Mark my words. The fourth one is goal setting. You can just take a list of the things that you would like to do, the goals that you have, and make a plan what to do, when to do, and how to do it. It's a big help. You can just make a list, but saying it aloud focuses your attention, reinforces the message, and controls your runaway emotions and screens out distractions. So after you set your goals, you will have a lot of sessions on goal setting. People will tell you to set your short-term goal and a long-term goal and work towards it, make your plans, do it all. But then I would tell you, go one step further and then start talking about it, start reading it aloud, saying it aloud to yourself so that it gets ingrained in your mind and you don't want to have any distractions in your journey towards reaching that goal. Now, when we have set our goals and then when we have made our plans to go, something prevents us from going further. And that's this thought, you're not good enough. Yes, a number of times we have this, yes, I would like to do it. I would love to do it, but then I don't think I am really good enough to work on this. So what do? You've been brainwashed to go from powerful you to a powerless you. But you don't have to remain stuck in that place. It's well past time for you to wake up from that nightmare of negative, self-destructive thinking and focus on learning how to love yourself and practice self-care instead. Our culture and your past relationships have hypnotized you to believe that you're not good enough. It's time to stop letting these self-harming thoughts make you feel emotionally and psychologically oppressed. It's time for a paradigm shift. It's time to peel away the layers of your false self and to discover instead your true self, which is much, much worthier than what you really think it is. Now, what are the ways that you can refocus your thinking and find the value in loving yourself? The first one is connect rather than compare. We often have a tendency to compare ourselves with the others, whether it's a top model or it's a co-worker. When you start comparing yourself, my dear children, that's a dead end. That's it. When you compare yourself, you feel undervalued and less than the other person. And you feel you're inadequate. So do not compare yourself with the others. You compare yourself with yourself and start working towards improving. Instead of comparing, do the connecting. To connect with others, it's imperative that you first know your strength and your positive qualities. Connecting with others can come from something as simple as a smile. Be kind, but don't be submissive. And conversation is a touchstone of connection. You can actually get to know more about yourself through talking openly with others. So talk to the others, connect with others rather than compare. The next point is have a dialogue with your inner critic. Would you agree with me if I say that there is a critic within you? Yes. Your inner critic is made up of the negative self-talk that you actually heard from your childhood and have internalized. A lot of times from the time we've been born, we've been hearing, don't do this, don't do that. If you do this, people will not like you. This is not the way a girl behaves. This is how a boy should be. A lot of things and instructions after instructions and like when we get our progress reports, when we do not get what we want, there have been instances when the others have criticized us. And all these have had an impact on our lives. All these have been added to the image that we have about ourselves. And that has only marred that vision. So some common judgments you hear from your inner critic might include, don't do that, or people will not like you and they will be upset with you. You need to work harder. You're not smart enough. You're not lovable. These might be the dialogue that your inner critic gives you. Remember that your inner critic is actually thinking of protecting you and trying to keep you safe and out of trouble by giving you these kind of warnings, but its intentions are going in the wrong side. So restrain and retrain your inner critic so that it shifts from criticizing yourself into becoming a coach who can challenge you without putting you down. Remember, if you don't think you're enough, you will deprive yourself of opportunities because you don't think you're worthy. And that's not right. You are great. You are like the uncut diamond. The lapidary needs to work, and you can't have an external lapidary to do the work all the time. You need to chisel, you need to mold yourself. And this diamond was once a piece of coal that was lying there under the earth for a long time. For a long, long time, it got stuck into the earth, and then it had transformed from peat to coal to diamond. So, children, talk to yourself and bring out the diamond that's within you. The next one, choose self-empowering language. There are times when we say, I should do this, I should have done that, I ought to do this, I have to do this. Whenever you keep saying that I ought to, I should, and I have to, these are conditions that you give yourself, and then you're oppressing yourself. So instead of saying, I ought to do this, I should do this, you can say that I want to do this. I love doing it. It's much more empowering, and you feel the freedom that choice gives to you because you're choosing to do something. It's not that you're compelled to do it. Whenever you say, I should do it, you're actually compelling yourself to do it. So get going. Have that freedom of doing something. Enjoy it. The next one. Break the habit of idealizing your relationships. Sometimes we get into relationships, especially at your age. Definitely, you might get into relationships that might hold you back. It might invalidate who you are. There might be people who might be belittling you. There might be people who will be demeaning you. Don't let yourself be held back in a relationship that minimizes what you're capable of. Find a community. Find a partner that will support you for who you are and not for what they want you to be. If at all you find yourself in the clutches of such a person, break yourself free from such clutches. In case you are not able to break free from the clutches of such a person, do the internal talking and say, that's not your problem, it's their problem for they being the way they are. They are trying to focus or pay attention to their insecurities and force it on you. So do not worry. If you can break free from such a relationship, which is poisonous, toxic relationship, if you cannot get away from such toxic relationships, support yourself. Take care of yourself by feeding yourself with good thoughts, good ideas, and encouraging yourself. The wonderful self-talk will definitely help in that case. Then, stop over-identifying with circumstances. You would have made a mistake in your life, and you don't have to criticize yourself, and you don't have to replay that particular mistake over and over again in your life. You're more than all these mistakes that you made in your life. You're more than the income that you draw. You're more than the body type that you think that is what it is. For example, if you failed a test, that doesn't mean that's the end of life and you're a failure. If you're having a hard time finding a job, that doesn't mean you're a loser. So don't let these perceived roadblocks weigh on your feelings of self-worth. There will be different occasions where you can rise and shine. So do not over-identify with any particular circumstance. Next, be authentic. Be true. Be true to yourself.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
That was a disturbance, ma'am. You may continue.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kavya. Right. Be authentic. Be genuine. When you choose to be someone you're not, we try to do that. We try to project a different person in front of others because we think that we will be appreciated, we will be loved, we'll be accepted only if we project that kind of behavior to the others, or only if we project that kind of me to the others, I will be accepted. This actually is unacceptable. If you want to have an intimate connection with someone, being open and honest about your thoughts and feelings is absolutely necessary. So being yourself allows the other person to know and appreciate who you truly are. If you withhold your emotions and feelings, your relationship cannot be really close. On a peripheral level, it can be. But then, when you see 24 hours of the day without the mask, or 24 hours, 365 days, wearing a mask is not possible. Although during the corona time, we are made to wear the masks, yet we can't wear a mask all the time, projecting a different you. The mask is definitely bound to slip, and then we project our true self, and that might not be acceptable to the others. So please do not worry about projecting your true self. Your hesitation at opening up creates a wall between you and the other person. So please be authentic, be genuine, be true to yourself and to the other people around you. And don't hesitate to be the real you. Practice being present. Practicing being present is live in the present. Practice being a present and being in the present. You are a present to the world, a gift to the world, gift to your parents, a gift to yourself, and gift to the others. Please accept that and then live in the present. Be responsive, but do not be reactive. Allow yourself to receive all the good things that are around you. And a relationship is never all about one person and getting their approval. Let your relationships be about you too. So do not just worry about one person and then let everything else get spoiled. The next thing is identifying or differentiating between your wants and needs. Needs are usually something that is important to us, whereas wants are preferences and not quite as important as needs. The conflict arises when two people want two different things. So identify whether it is a need or a want. When you distinguish between this, I'm sure you'll be able to value and refocus your thinking. Next one, love and accept yourself. Every religion says, love thyself and love others as yourself. If you can't love yourself, how can you love the others? And loving yourself is loving yourself with all your faults, with all your inadequacies. Unconditional love is that which is expected of you for yourself. Unconditional love means you love yourself no matter what. Whatever anyone says about you, whatever you think of yourself, you love yourself. And without expecting anything in return. It means that you have unconditional worth. Love yourself without any judgment. Stop seeking validation and approval from others. Sometimes it will never come. Be gentle and compassionate with yourself. The last one in this is to practice self-care. To love yourself, you need to care for yourself. And if you love yourself, you will definitely care for yourself. So take a close look at how you're living. Are you taking time for the things that bring you joy? Are you eating and moving and feeling healthy and energetic? Are you sleeping enough? If not, it's time to make some serious life changes. And finally, I'd say, you need to say out loud, I am enough. I have enough. And I am worthy. If you keep repeating this, you will honor yourself and you will own your power. Now, if you care about yourself and if you love yourself, you will also have a better self-esteem. Now, what is self-esteem? That's a respect you have for yourself. It is defined as confidence in one's own worth or abilities. It simply means appreciating yourself for who you are with all your faults, foibles, and everything. Now, how do I know whether I have high self-esteem or low self-esteem? Suppose you have high esteem, high self-esteem, then you will trust your judgment. You will feel confident and you will not feel guilty. You will worry less and you will trust in your ability to succeed. You will consider yourself equal to the others. You will find yourself interesting and you will solve problems without manipulation from outside. And you will enjoy doing multiple things in different situations without feeling overly anxious. That's multitasking. And you will stand up for what you really believe in. But suppose you have a low self-esteem, then you will definitely have the fear of being alone. You will doubt your ability for success. You will choose the wrong partners. A number of times at this stage, we see youngsters making this mistake. Be careful. That's because of your low self-esteem that you choose your wrong partners. You will be criticizing others. You will become rigid, stubborn, stern, and not flexible. You will feel ashamed. You will even feel depressed. You will put others' needs before your own. All the time, you'll want to please the others. And in the end, you will experience anxiety because you don't love what you're doing. you don't enjoy what you're doing, you'll be criticizing yourself too. So these are the symptoms of low self-esteem. It's up to you to decide whether your self-respect is high or low. Now, if it is low, how can I improve my self-esteem? Take a self-esteem inventory. Take a piece of paper. On the left side, you write all the strengths. On the right side, you can mark out all the weaknesses. Sometimes it might be a little difficult for you to write your strengths because all the time we've been talking about our weakness and I can't do this. I don't think I'll be able to do this. So instead of writing your strength as such, recall the times where people have told you that you're good, you're great. Think of all those and do the writing. You will find that you're coming up with a lot of strengths. And set realistic expectations. There are people who say, by the time I'm 20, 25, I should be a millionaire. And if they don't become a millionaire by then, or if they don't get a real good job by the age of 25, they think they're a total utter failure. That's not so. Nothing can kill our self-esteem more than setting unrealistic expectations. I'm not saying that within 25 getting a job is an unrealistic expectation, but then setting a goal of becoming a millionaire by the time of 20, 25 might be unrealistic for many. Sometimes our expectations are also so much smaller, yet they are unrealistic. For example, I wish my mom or dad would stop criticizing me. Guess what? They never will. Because they will. That's the nature of the parent, to keep criticizing their children. When they do something wrong, the first thing that they do is, don't do this. Why are you doing this? They will definitely talk about it. That's not just criticism, as the inner critic within you had been telling you certain things to protect you, but then that was going awry. The same way, our parents are doing things to help us, but then definitely they don't realize that it is going in the opposite direction. And the next one is set aside perfection. Perfectionism is something that you need to be really wary about, because it's really difficult to be perfect in whatever you're doing. That's just an illusion that you have. You can strive towards being perfect, but then you can't be really perfect. The only person who is really perfect is God and God alone. So don't try to be a perfectionist. You will trouble yourself and you will trouble the others around you if you're a perfectionist. So step aside perfection. Do whatever you can at all the time. Improve yourself. And then next one, grab a hold of all the accomplishments and the mistakes. Take a note of all the accomplishments. As I told you, get hold of all those things that people have told you about yourself. That will really help. And even your mistakes, all those are lessons for you to learn. So don't worry about it and explore yourself. Know thyself is an old saying which has been passed down through the ages to us. That is to encourage us to engage in self-exploration. So be willing to adjust your own self-image. Now, imagine you're taking a selfie. You keep adjusting your image so that you get the better picture of yourself. What is there will be projected. But then you want to get the best pose so that you look really very beautiful. So you adjust the image so that you project the best. The same way, be willing to adjust your own self-image. Keep adjusting your self-image and self-esteem to match your current abilities and skills, not those of your past. Whatever is over. Start working towards improving yourself. And as I told you earlier, stop comparing yourself to the others. Now, what are the quick ways to recognize your self-worth? The first one is to accept the thoughts, emotions, and sensations as they are. Do not judge them. They're neutral and they do not define who we are. They're just fleeting in nature, which means that they just come and go. Accept it as they are. And those thoughts can be changed. The process of our thinking can be changed. So accept it as they are and then try changing. If you feel that that's not right, and as I told you earlier, eliminate the should from your vocabulary. When you say should, you're oppressing yourself. Instead, change it into a could. Could I do this? Why? Why shouldn't I do this? That opens up options, and that encourages less judgment. We'll be less judgmental about ourselves. And do not rely on other people to provide you your sense of worth. They will definitely, inevitably disappoint you because they're not interested in improving your self-worth. We have to internalize our power and make ourselves the only wielder of the power that we have. No label, no position or relationship can give us that inner worth. Those are all external factors. We have to ensure that if something or someone is removed from our lives, our esteem will still remain intact. So no one else is going to give you your self-worth. Only you and only you can have that. Now, the next one is to forgive yourself. Forgive others, of course, and forgive yourself. We need to forgive ourselves from all the past wrongdoings. All of us, at one point of time, we would have done something wrong. A number of times, every day, we do something wrong. We mess up things. We do things we shouldn't have done. Don't worry. It's over. Done with. It's spilt milk. Is there any use of wallowing in self-pity? No. Go forward and take stock of all your talents. Everybody is a gift, and everybody has a gift or a calling in this world. You would never have come into this world without this calling. So take stock of your talents, understand your worth, and start improving yourself. Now, what are the tricks to improve your self-esteem? There are three things, self-respect, self-image, and self-confidence. Self-respect is what you think about yourself, and self-image is how you see yourself individually in relationship with the others. And your self-confidence is how you feel about yourself. You cannot raise your self-esteem by simply telling yourself, oh, come on, you look great, you feel great, or you are great. Self-esteem comes from within. It's an inside job. I'm sure you would have come across a friend, who thought was the world. She was simply great. She was too good. You look up to her for everything. And this person didn't think that she was actually really good or great. She was more talented, more intelligent, and deserving than she realized. But then she was suffering because she didn't understand. She didn't realize that. And you see her suffering because of that. And you try to bring her out of that by giving her certain motivational talks. Of course, you'll be able to help her for a while. It is only for a while. Underneath, she still is feeling unworthy, which is a horrible feeling, which is painful to watch if you really care about that person. So it is there rooted. So you can't heal it at a peripheral layer. You need to go deep down and then uproot it. So it's that particular person who needs to talk to herself or himself to bring herself or himself out of that she is in. For example, visualize a muddy ball rolling through the dirt. The ball is already muddy. And when it keeps rolling in the dirt, what happens? Visualize it. It actually takes in lots of layers of dirt. This is what happens in our life. That ball is ours. It was really good, shiny ball. Now, there are a lot of comments, criticisms. All those have been the layers of dirt which have been accumulated over the years. And these create insecurities. And these insecurities overtake our confidence due to the fear of more mud coming in our way. Simply visualize yourself using some superb, gentle cleanser to safely remove all these muddy residue and uncover that shine, that bounciness, and the smile that is there in that you. So the layers of dirt, we can shake it off. We can cleanse it. Maybe if you want, soak it up in some cleanser for quite some time. Literally do it. Visualize yourself doing it, and then come out of it purged, cleansed, and then be a real new you. Things that mentally healthy people tell themselves. Some of these are, I'm lovable, I'm capable. Most other people are lovable and capable too. If I'm lovable and capable, there are other people too. Many of them are the same way, lovable and capable. Success comes from doing, so not just by sitting and hatching eggs. It comes from doing, performing. Performers are the people who will be successful. And all these challenges are opportunities for me to excel. It is only human to make mistakes. Suppose I make mistakes, it's only human. Only God is infallible. Only He doesn't make mistakes. But we think even God makes mistakes, or God has made mistake. During this COVID time, 1 whole year is going to go away. So that's what we say. And we say that God has made a mistake. Did He? A question. No. I have what it takes to cope with change and to make changes. So these are things that the mentally healthy people say. Ways you can share your talent and amazing self with the world. First thing is to shift your focus to positive things. We're all programmed to see the negative in life, so it can take some time to stop focusing on this when something good happens to you. So live with humility and gratitude. There are a lot of things in the life that we can be really grateful. Notice everything around you. There are a lot of people who do not have what you have. Imagine yourself sitting for 5 minutes without being able to see, or without being able to hear, or without being able to talk. You've been gifted. You have plenty in life to be really grateful. There's abundance around you. And the abundance around you is unimaginably amazing. You live in a fascinating system designed to sustain our lives. So don't worry about anything that you're missing out. Don't think about what you don't have. Think of all the haves, and the haves will become more and more and more. Appreciate the freedom that you have. We always say that we're not given the right kind of freedom. Parents do not allow us to do this, do that. If at home we are curtailed, when you come to school or college, even there, the same thing happens. Freedom is not something that someone gives you. It's something that you take. So how can you truly appreciate this power and ability you have to pursue the things that you want in life? Step outdoors and take a deep breath at least once in a while and appreciate the kind of freedom that you have. And live your dreams like they're already happening. Don't have to wait for it to happen. Start visualizing. There's a great power. People talk about positive thinking. I'm talking about positive imaging. You start seeing what you want to happen. You start already visualizing yourself. It's already happening. You're seeing that happening right in front of your eyes. Start visualizing, and you will see that it's happening really big. Living big will teach you about perseverance and faith in the impossible. Ask yourself these questions. Why not follow my dreams? Why can't I make my life the way it most matters to me? Why can't I be unstoppable? Why can't failures and mistakes lead me to success? Why can't I imagine a successful future as though it has already happened? Think of all these things, and you will understand that earlier they used to say, seeing is believing. If you see, you will believe. You'll be able to believe. But I would say, believing is seeing. You start believing that something will happen, and you will see it actually happening. So the faith in the impossible will make you persevere for it, and it will make it a working reality. It will teach you the discipline and to love and to accept yourself. Now, the reasons talking to yourself is good for you. You can have self-talk, which will improve your cognitive performance, your understanding capability. It will increase. You talk to yourself, it will increase your capacity to understand the things that you're learning, and it will help you improve your performance. And self-encouragement for the win. You can talk yourself down. Now, what do you mean by talk yourself down? You have been in a bad situation and you feel you're wallowing in self-pity. Remove yourself from that bad situation and then talk yourself down. Say that this situation is if lasting for long. Let me get out of it. Let me take my bags and swing along and then rise and shine. And the last one is an exercise in self-control. Talking to yourself does more than put a lid on all your negative emotions. And keep that lid from coming off in the first place. So control your thoughts. Instead of having negative thoughts, work on improving your positive thoughts. The first one will be watch for the self-talk statements about yourself. What you say to yourself. The first step is to pay attention to your self-talk and identify if there is anything that is negative. You won't be able to change your negative self-talk without noticing it. Only if you realize that there is something negative in your talk, only then you can change it. So start analyzing, watching your self-talk. Then monitor the self-talk of people around you. You cannot get into their heads and see what's happening, what kind of talks they have with themselves. But then it's easier to see the impact of that negative self-talk by noticing its effect on other people. I'm sorry. Then the third one is identifying your negative self-talk that you want to change. Accepting that the other person has a different emotional reality. Listening until you understand the other person and feel that they have understood. And learning to express feelings rather than judgments. And looking at the other person who you think has a negative talk, who you have negative feelings, negative emotion, that person need not be an adversary. Even if that person is an adversary, avoid seeing him as an adversary. Look at him or her as a potential, not as a potential threat, but as a potential opportunity for you to rise and shine. That will actually help you to eradicate that negative self-talk, and you will believe that there are many possible solutions, not just the one you thought of. Eliminate that internal negative chatter, the chatter that is happening, the talk that is happening within ourselves. You can eliminate that. Once you've learned to notice your negative self-talk, you can work actively to resist that when it happens. For example, there are some people who wear a rubber band on their hands and then they snap it whenever they engage in a negative self-talk. I'm sure I haven't tried this, but I'm told that it works. Whenever, that's a constant reminder, if at all they do that negative, that's a reminder. They hurt themselves so that they will stop that negative thought. Some people set an internal signal, such as telling themselves, if there's a negative thought that is coming to their mind, they say, cancel this thought, stop short. Then they continue with something else, or at least they distract their mind from that negative thought. So try any of these means. And then the last one, self-talk. You're always going to engage in a self-talk, but it doesn't have to be negative. The trick is to use a positive talk to actually help you. So change from negative to positive. These are some of the phrases that you could use. You can take a screenshot of it. You can use it. These you can record, you can talk about it, you can hear it. The mobile phones these days could be made use of. I trust that person loves me. We have worked things together. I can control myself and my behavior. Some of these statements, and I can ask for help. Sometimes we hesitate to ask for help from the others. Don't worry, you're not alone. So say, I'm not alone. There are other people around me who will help. So it's okay for me to have whatever feelings I have. I can choose how I act. So these are some of the phrases that you could use, positive reiterations that you can use to yourself. And some of the techniques that you can, that people use to program the self-talk. Mirror on the wall, tell me who's beautiful. This is like, repeat what I told you earlier. Look into the mirror, look at yourself, and then repeat those statements that you saw in the previous slide. Do this a number of times. Say the phrases with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. And then you can have sticky notes wherever it's visible in and around your workplace, or at home, in the mirror that you look at, on top of your almirah, bookshelf, wherever. Have these sticky notes, and then the new program, the positive programming, put it up in visible places that you see it often, that you don't forget it. It can also be in the index cards. Some people use 3x5 cards where they write down and then they read those on and off. They take it and read those self-programmed positive statements. The last one I told you was about tape talk. You can program, you can feed into your mobile phones these positive statements, and you can listen to your own voice stating it, which will be really helpful. Now is a time I want you to do some activity for me. Are you ready? If you're ready, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, please take it out. And then once you're ready.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, on a piece of paper, I want you to draw a circle. There are different aspects which I've marked in this wheel of life. You will see that personal development, career, fun and recreation, relationships, physical environment, health, money, and romance. There are 8 things. If you want to add more things, fine. It should be even numbers. 8, 10, 12.
Excuse me.
Yes.
That's another disturbance, ma'am. We may continue.
Okay, fine. So you have 8 to 10 to 12. The base I've given you 8. That's the wheel of your life, right? The center, you have 0. And on the circumference, you have 10. For each of those, you have 10. And in the middle, the center point, you can mark as 5. And what I want you to do now is, if you've drawn the circle and if you've done this picture, I want you to mark for each of it. I want you to mark on a scale of 0 to 10. I want you to mark, for example, for personal development. What will be your score about your personal development on a scale of 0 to 10? About your career, on a 0 to 10 scale, where will you place yourself? Please mark it up. It is about you, your spiritual, career, finance, family, health, fun, recreation. So please work on it. And it can be like this. You can draw concentric circles and put 1, 2, 3 if you want, or as the earlier picture that I've given you, I've shown you, you can do this. Please mark for each of it. Okay. Have you done it? Hello? Okay. If you do this, if not now, you can even do it later. Take a screenshot of this, keep it, because this is really going to be very, very helpful for you. Now, if you've done that for each of it, connect what you've done, connect it. You might get something like this. Unless otherwise it has been a circle. It can be all three, because he's someone saying ride full of ups and downs and not a circle, so we could not ride. The smooth will not be right. Great. Okay. So people have been attending. They are attentive. Fine. I'm okay. The ride will be definitely difficult. Yes. It's with great difficulty that we'll have to push. That's how our life is right now, because we do not give equal importance for everything. And for some, we give extra importance. For example, in a physical environment, the place where we live, we're so happy about it. Don't worry about that. Where it is less, for example, in relationships, in this particular picture, there's only a 4. So concentrate on that, try to improve that, and let it become more and more and more. And once it's all done, your life will be a whole lot better. They say, if the circle is small, the ride will be a little more bumpier, or we will not have a great enjoyable ride. For example, if you want to go on a long journey, bike is bigger, larger than the scooty, the wheels of the scooty. The same way, the bigger the circle is, if you have a better journey, I think your scores should be even, and it should be the same. So work on it. Right now, if it is giving you a bumpy ride, see the areas where you need to improve, and then work on it consciously. If today this is your wheel of life, a month, work on it. Whichever area you want to, you can work on it, and then go to the next. After a month, 2, draw another wheel of life and see where you are. How will you rate yourself to improve? You're in that dormant. Any queries you can ask.